What's up, guys? This is Bear Evans, and it is about 6:45 in the morning. It's approximately 15 degrees Fahrenheit. I'm not sure what that is in Celsius, minus a few degrees. And we're going camping, so I'm going to take you guys with me, and we're going to go have a fun night or two, depending on how the weather holds out. So stay tuned, and I'll pick you up with you in a little bit. Can I get a half a dozen plain croissants?
Anything else?
Nope, that'll do her.
Okay, come around.
Thank you. What? Guys, it's like a 35-minute drive to where I'm going. I'm hungry, alright? Judge me. Damn. Well, this is home for the next night, maybe 2 nights. We'll see. It is definitely still pretty cold. It's only supposed to get up to about freezing today, about 32 degrees Fahrenheit, which is 0 Celsius. And I'm trying something new this trip. I'm I'm going to try and spend the night in a hammock. I've never done this in the cold. I do not have the typical cold gear protection. I don't have an underquilt or anything like that. What I'm going to do is I'm going to line the bottom with a wool blanket. I'm going to put down my Thermarest air mattress or air pad, whatever you want to call it, sleeping pad. And I've got a rated for, I believe, 5 degrees sleeping bag. It might be -5. I have to look at it. I'll tell you guys later. So right now, I'm just getting my hat and some gloves on. These are actually military surplus wool gloves, and are fantastic for just doing basic around the camp stuff. You know, anything light. They're breathable, so they keep your hands from getting too sweaty or anything along that like that. And this is also a 100% wool watch cap, military surplus as well. Not all of my gear is military surplus. You'll see that later. And hopefully there will be not threads attacking my gloves. Hopefully there will be a follow-up gear video very, very soon. I'll talk to you guys more about the channel and everything later once we get some of camp established. So I think first things first is, just from here I can see some dead wood, but a lot of dead wood on the ground, and I'm afraid of rot. So I want to kind of just scout the area around, see if I need to move areas while I still have the day. It's only about 8:15 right now in the morning. It is the middle of February. It's February the 17th right now. And we have had the most unseasonably warm week leading up to this trip. I was trying to get out into the snow for all of December and January, and then this last week, the first week of February, really, we had probably 7 or 8 days that were all 40s or higher. We actually had one day that I think hit 65, and all the snow's gone. So now it's finally starting to dip back down into being cool. Tonight is supposed to be a low of around 14, 15 again, and that's not including wind chill. And tomorrow has a high of about 32, 33, right at freezing. So we'll see. We'll see if we can't have some fun. So stay tuned, and let's see what we find. So I have to apologize now for the audio quality. I am doing this video on really basic gear. I don't even have a flip out screen on this camera, so I can't see if I'm in focus or if I'm, too close, too far, anything like that. So I'm kind of playing it all by ear, hoping it turns out. And hopefully in future videos, I'll have better gear, an actual mic to use, and just all that type of stuff. So this is really basic filming. I actually, when you see it, parts of this will actually be on my phone. So that'll be kind of interesting to see if that comes out. So right now, I'm looking for dead wood to use as firewood tonight. I'm not relying on a fire to stay warm tonight, but I do want to get enough wood to last, to make lunch, to make dinner, and breakfast for tomorrow. And obviously, it's, still getting dark around 5:36. So we'll see if we can't find enough. And depending on how warm of a sleep we have will also depend on if we stay a second night, or if I just decide to change up my sleeping configuration. Obviously, you can see Uki there in the background, hopefully. Uki is a Suzuki Samurai. When I bought him, the Suzuki lettering on the front was all bashed to hell, and actually a couple letters were missing, so I ripped the S off, and it just said Uki right in the middle on the front bumper. So anytime I say Uki, I'm referencing my car. So that little guy was an absolute tank. The road coming into the park here was just a sheet of ice in certain areas. I'll try and find, well, hopefully the footage from my cell phone picked up some of the sliding. At one point I was almost perfectly sideways just drifting down the road. So right here I found something nice. I've got a birch tree, and it looks like it's seen better days. So I can definitely use this for fire starting material. It's actually super sappy too. So maybe this isn't a birch. I don't know. Maybe it's a black birch. Super dark coloring. I don't know how well this camera picks up that with the current light. The sun's still just coming up, so everything's super uneven light-wise. But definitely looks like a birch to me. So I'm seeing some pine. That'll be good to get the fire started. Now, if I'm lucky, I'll find a good chunk of hardwood. If I'm really lucky, it'll be something like this, something like oak or ironwood or maple or any one of those. Now, unfortunately, where I am right now is a state park, so I have to camp in the designated area, but I'm pretty sure I'm all alone here. There was nobody else when I came in. There weren't any super recent tire tracks. It looked like people had driven through in the snow. I'm not up to date on my hunting seasons, so I don't know when the most recent one was, or if there's one going on right now. So yeah. So, to my knowledge, I'll probably be alone here for the duration of my stay. So, here's something. More pine. This is probably junk. Oh, I don't know. It's pretty firm, but I don't have a huge saw. I've got a little foldable saw and a arm's length boy's axe. So, sorry for all the camera movement. You're still on the tripod. And so this is my first video back in a long time. This is kind of my welcome back to YouTube video. So, I was gone for a long time. I started my channel, oh gosh, probably about 8 years ago, give or take. And I had the full ambition of, see, look at all this down stuff. I'm just worried about it being too punky and actually being able to really process it or not. Need some standing stuff. Smaller standing stuff. Anyways, life just kind of happened, and like I said, I had the full ambition of doing everything for the channel, and I was missing some gear, like you always are, and recording gear, that is. And at one point I didn't have a camera. At one point I had sound equipment but no camera, and I've just kind of kept flip-flopping between those two. And on top of that, I've had a couple of very large moves, cross-country moves, just over and over and over the last 6-7 years. I went from New York to Pittsburgh, back to New York, out to Los Angeles for the longest duration, about 4 years. I worked out there, and then I came back, moved to Ohio after I left LA, and I stayed in Ohio for about 2 years, worked there, and just recently came back to New York. So while I was in Ohio, I really wanted to do more of these videos, but where I was in Ohio was really tough to do anything because I was a solid, 2 to 4 hour drive from any type of, potential camping location, and trying to get away for that amount of time from work was kind of tough. Even just doing an overnighter, going that far was kind of a chore, because my work was so sporadic. Excuse me. So, alright, let's keep walking and see if we can't hopefully find something more useful. There's way more down stuff here, like just tons of it. It's an absolute beauty spot. There's some stuff right there. It might be a winner. Looks like more birch. A lot of birch, a lot of pine, a lot of not dead oak and ironwood and maple, and that's what we're after. Lots of black birch. But now that I'm back in New York, I have a lot more time, and many more places that I can potentially go to and stay at. I'm close to family again. I was close to family in Ohio, but it's nice when family owns property that you can go on. So that might be a future video, and eventually, hopefully, I'll have people, or friends or other YouTuber meetups, and we'll see how things go. So I'm seeing some stuff down over here that'll work pretty good, but alright, I think I've seen enough. There's enough around to, make do. Even if I did have to use all pine, it's not ideal, but, when it's all there is, it'll work. So, tonight, like I said, I'll be sleeping in a hammock. Something that I've not done very often. I'm not super familiar with hammock camping. Usually I'm sleep on the ground under a tarp type. So this is a new venture for me. We're going to see how it goes and see if I freeze to death or not. Being that I drove in, I do have a little extra gear. I wasn't going for, a hardcore survival trip. I wanted something where I could talk to you guys a little easier and record it a little easier, and just kind of ease the channel back into things. By the time this comes out, I'll have gone through and scrubbed it, gotten rid of probably most of my old videos. I'll leave some up, maybe some of the better ones, or the ones that pertain best, to the channel, or maybe I'll just delete them all and start fresh. I don't know. Some of them are super old. You wouldn't even be able to tell that I'm the same guy. I got big beard now, as you can see. That's new. Well, not new. I've had it for about 3.5 years, but I haven't made a video and put it on the channel in probably 4 or 5 years, so I would look completely different. But that being said, like I said, I've got a little extra gear, which means I've got a fresh change of clothes to wear to bed. That way I can have a dry shirt. more importantly, dry socks. One change of underwear is in there. Just, never know how sweaty you might get. The goal is to not get sweaty because it's so damn cold. And I've got a full set of thermal long johns. Excuse me, if I absolutely need them. So, hopefully, I won't. I also have a hooded sweatshirt, which I'm not wearing right now because I'm not quite that cold. Once I get moving around, I'm not going to need it, and I don't want to have to take it on and off. And, I've got a set of coverall bibs. They look like overalls, but they're for snow. Just for extra warmth if I absolutely needed them, along with a decent winter jacket. So, with the sleeping system, I also have my wool cloak, which I'll show you guys later in a different video, which I will put on top of my sleeping bag to help just kind of keep warmth in and help keep condensation off of my sleeping bag. So, yeah, busy life, but it's slowing down a little bit, which is really nice. Lets me get involved with you guys, so I'm really excited for that. Man, I didn't have any coffee this morning. It's kind of hitting. So, alright, well, let's get to it. I'm going to dig some of my gear out, and I'm thinking that I'm going to string my hammock up between this tree and this tree. So, let's see how that distance works. I'm not sure. I've literally never even pulled this hammock out of its pouch, so it could have a 4-foot hole in the middle of it for all I know, which would kind of suck, but Alright, so I have some firewood. Not a lot. I'm tired. That kind of beat my ass. Oh man, look at all the ice starting in my beard. That's how cold it still is. It's maybe, I don't know, 20, 22 degrees now, but with the wind chill, it's probably still around 10. So for you non-United States folks, I think that's like, I don't know, like -3 to -5 Celsius, I think. My conversions aren't that great anymore. I'll have to work on it for you guys. So, I'm just taking a little break right now because I was getting overheated. And the last thing you want to do is start sweating, get super sweaty. And I have a really bad problem with overheating. I sweat all the time, just like that. Doesn't take much. I'm literally just wearing a flannel shirt. Underneath that flannel shirt is a quick dry, like summer gear, sleeveless shirt. And then just, regular pants, the camo pants, and my boots with some wool socks. And that's it. And the hat. Like, I took my gloves off and everything right now. The hat might have to come off soon, but we'll see. Whew. Definitely nice just to sit and kind of enjoy the area. It's beautiful here. Nice and quiet. There's no major roads right around here at all. I'm right in the middle of the park. And it's just dead. There's nobody else here. Quiet as can be. You just hear the trees knocking, kind of off in the distance from the wind, and every once in a while some of the leaves will rustle. The only way it'd get better is if there was snow. But if we get too much snow, might be in a pickle getting out of here when I want to leave, because that road was already pretty shit. I've never been stuck in my car, but I don't have an onboard air compressor, so if I air my tires down, I've got to be careful when I hit the main road. But I didn't have to worry about that on the way in. I never even 4-load. It was 4 high when I needed it, 2 high everywhere else. I only use it when I absolutely have to. I always followed, the 2-wheel in, 4-wheel out method. That way you always know you've got a better chance of getting out. At least for scenarios like this, like especially because I'm out here alone. And I wasn't sure how cell service was going to be. Turns out I have like 4G out here. When I came and scouted the area, I had nothing. It was a complete dead zone. So I don't know if I just wasn't picking up a tower or if they miraculously built a tower in the last couple of months. I have no idea. But I do get service, so that's good in case of an emergency. I do have a CB radio in the truck, and I keep a handheld ham radio in my pack. It's on the strap. I'll go through a whole gear review with you guys eventually. Alright, awesome. So, that was a fairly easy setup. I didn't realize that it came with these new types of straps. So let me pick you guys up and show you what I'm talking about. So it's got these carabiners that work on this loop system. And all you got to do is just wrap it around the tree, hook it on, and then hook the hammock on, which is heavy duty super tied with I don't know, some type of nylon cording. And this thing's actually kind of awesome because it's got a built-in bug net. So hell yeah, for the summer that's going to be wicked. So this is a Sportneer hammock. I think I bought this thing off Amazon for like 30 bucks, so we'll see how she does tonight. And I'll let y'all know. Look at that. Stupid damage. Somebody just went to town on it with a axe or a knife or something. Oh, tree's still alive enough, but stuff like that kills it, guys. Anyways, I'm going to actually put a tarp over top of this just to help give me some cover, keep me from getting, you know, all covered in condensation. And if it rains or snows, which there's a high chance of tonight for snow, I think upwards of about 70%. And we're already sitting at like 85% humidity, so there's a really, really good chance that we'll get some snow. I've got a big, I think it's a 10 by 12 oilskin canvas tarp, and I'm going to throw that up over top of the hammock, and then I've got a smaller tarp that I can either use as a ground tarp for gear, if I didn't just want to store it in the car, or make some type of shelter. I'm not entirely sure where to sit under for the fire, but we'll figure it out. Alright guys, so I've got my tarp set up, I've got my bedding laid out because it's a down sleeping bag, so I'll just give it the day to, you know, kind of fluff up. I've got my wool blankets and my thermarest in there already as well. So I'm going to show you probably one of the funnest but ugliest looking contraptions. Alright, so here we have shelter for the night and my pack. Now, this is a big, heavy tarp. All right, that is an oilskin tarp. It's that waxed canvas, super thick, you know, it's spark resistant, super waterproof and durable. You can beat the hell out of these things and they will still come back for more. So the problem with these though is that they're heavier than sin, and if you're a backpacker or a bushcrafter or anybody else who goes for a super light or an ultra light you know, carry experience, you'll never use one of these. This thing by itself is, I don't know, 20-30 pounds. I mean, it's ludicrous on how heavy it is. But because I drove in, I figured, hell, why not? Let's have a go at it. And I've now basically got a house. This thing is gigantic. I always forget how big it is. I love using it. I never get to use it enough. So I'm going to take you guys inside here so you can see. So actually, on top, this brown thing, that's my cloak. And when I say cloak, yes, I mean cloak, like as in a Lord of the Rings cloak. Only I didn't make it for Lord of the Rings. I made it for camping. It is a Swiss military surplus blanket that I cut down and modified. I put a hood on it. Ooh, that motion blur. That was rough. Put a hood on it. It's got toggles so that I can, you know, clasp it in the front. And it's great for when it's super cold or it's rainy. You can use it really for damn near anything you want. And the biggest reason I like it is because it's so versatile. It's still wool. I think this particular blanket was a 90% wool blend. So that's about as high up there as you can get when it comes to you know, any type of surplus blanket. And this was a super lucky find. Most of them are only, you know, maybe upwards of 70 if you can find them. Sorry about that. Battery died. Happens. I'm actually on a different camera now, so again, if the audio sounds bad or is different to you guys, I apologize. I'll listen through everything before I post anything, and if there's anything that I can fix in post, I will. But like I said, I don't have any external mics or anything right now, so I'm trying to speak, you know, loud and clear for the camera mics, so hopefully everything gets picked up. So what I was saying about the blankets are, this was a super lucky find. This was a 90% wool blend, meaning it was 90% wool, 10% blend, so it's probably some type of acrylic or a cotton. And usually you're lucky if you can find a 70% wool. So this will be a really nice topper for everything. So as you can see, sleeping bag, and like I said, I believe. Okay, so third time's the charm. The battery on the other camera died, even though it was fresh batteries. I think the cold's getting to them a little bit. So you're now on my phone, so hopefully audio's coming through all right. Picture looks okay on my end. So as I was saying, sleeping bag is about 5 or -5 or 15, something like that. I'm not too concerned about getting too cold. I've got enough layers that I can wear if need be. And then underneath everything else, actually just look through the bug netting. Man, I cannot talk today. No coffee. Is my Thermarest Pro Light, and this is the first time I'm going to be using this, so it'll be a good tester. I'm using a lot of stuff for the first time. That's kind of why I'm doing such a simple kind of go about it. And that's actually my last sleeping pad, which is a pool floaty. So get creative, folks. If you don't have the funds for all the expensive stuff, make do with what you got. There we go. I bet that was driving people nuts. That'll drive me nuts in post. You know, just make do. So like I said, I'm making do right now with, you know, just using the phone and everything, which actually looks pretty damn good on, you know, while I'm recording this. So I think now what I'm going to do, since I've got a relatively decent part of my camp set up, is start and go dig up some firewood. I've got some small stuff here already, but I definitely need more. And I'd like to have at least a small fire going, you know, fairly continuous through the day, just to sit next to and relax. That's kind of why I came out here so early, so that I had, you know, the afternoon to just chill and enjoy being in the woods again. And this is a beauty spot. The only problem with it is that there is, to my knowledge, no good water source. So I brought extra water. I brought a big 5-gallon jug of water to put my fire out when the time comes, and to also, you know, wash dishes with and whatnot. I've got my stainless steel canteen that I've got my water in, and I've got an extra gallon on top of that for drinking water and cooking water and what have you. So this is the start. Little Uki. Love this rig. If you can ever get your hands on a Suzuki Samurai, I highly advocate it. I'll tell you what, this guy is the most beastly little machine. I've never owned a better vehicle, and I've owned new vehicles before. I've had a Jeep. I drove a van for a while. This is a 1988. It's turning 30 this year. And it still runs better than most anything out there nowadays. You know, it ain't the prettiest, it's not the fastest, but it'll go anywhere you want it to go, and the space is actually not as bad as you think. It's about the same as a Jeep, just a smidgen smaller, but with the tops off during the summer, you can't tell. And, yeah, so hopefully, if I can, I'll also be sending you guys some off-roading videos. My goal is to kind of do a good mix of both. If I can off-road into a camping spot, that's perfect for me. I absolutely love it. I'll definitely be doing a variety of different videos for you guys. I'll definitely touch back on that later with you. So I'm going to go hit some firewood, and I'll catch back up with you. Okay guys, so I've got a little more firewood, and it's really starting to get cold with this wind, so I'm just going to try and make some shavings, and I've got a little bit of birch bark as well. So the firewood, or the wood period around here, is not great. This location, if you have like a chainsaw or something, then it wouldn't be too bad, but it's all a lot of it's just too big to do with an axe or the little folding saw that I've got. Oh man, seriously, my hands are so cold right now. The resistance actually hurts. But my gloves, both pairs of gloves that I have, I've got my big winter gloves that I can wear later, but they slip too much holding this knife. It's one of the only downsides to this. And I'll go over it more in detail in my gear video, but this is a Nakota, N-A-K-O-T-A. I couldn't tell you where I got it from. I picked it up ages ago. A long time ago. And I've never found another knife of this brand, so I don't know if it's a knockoff of something else, or if I got lucky and just found a cool rare knife. I don't know, but it's probably one of my favorite go-tos. And as you can see, I keep my fire steel attached to this knife. I bounce back and forth having it, you know, tethered to my pants and then tucked into a pocket, the fire steel that is, and then just tethered to a knife. This trip it just happens to be tethered to a knife. So, alright. Go grab my birch bark. And I'll say it again, I really hope the audio and everything for this is coming out alright. I guess I'll know in a day or two when I'm editing this. So, oh, big gust of wind coming through right now. Take that a second just to pull some of this a little closer. Alright, let's see if we can't get this going here. Didn't give myself enough cordage to really get a good strike going, so pull out the handy dandy backup. I also keep a little pocket knife with spare fire steel on it, so just that striker. Try not to bitch that blade up too much. That's not doing much. Alright, well, that fire steel, or the striker doesn't like this fire steel very much. Might just be a little dirty or something. Well, just doesn't want to go. Clean my fire steel off and pushed it into the dirt a little bit. Alright, well, easy scenario here. Boom. No more limitations. Alright. Now we're cooking with gas. Oh, she's smoking. She's trying. Everything's super wet. We've just had nothing but rain all this last week, and it's really showing. Not giving up on it though. Definitely need more tinder. more starting fuel here. Like, even finding good enough stuff to make feather sticks with was a challenge today, because anything that I found that I could harvest with the axe or the saw was damp or kind of punky, and I got lucky with a small maple and a small chunk of ironwood. For those of you that don't know what ironwood is, it's very much like oak. It looks like a very skinny oak. Some people even call it oak. Oak, oak, oak. How many times can I say that in a sentence? But it's a nice hardwood. It's a pain in the ass to cut down if you're not using like an axe or something. If you're using a chainsaw, it'll bog the chainsaw down. If you're using a saw, it just kind of gums it up. It's an absolute menace, but it burns like a dream. Nice, long, hot. It's native to my region and many parts of the U.S. I know at least the majority of the East Coast gets it, and parts of the Midwest. It's not too uncommon most everywhere around here. You usually find it mixed in with just about anything. Alright, let's try that. There's also not a pleasant place to kneel right around this fire ring. Pre-existing, obviously, but it's really weirdly shaped, like somebody was trying to build a volcano and they were just messing around and it didn't really pan out or something, and there's ice. So once we get this going, it's just going to be a goal to get a good coal bed built. Man, that just really does not want to take at all. All right. When all else fails, try the Zippo. There we go. Man, it's just fighting it. Make sure the fire still goes in my pocket. It also doesn't help that it's super humid. Like we're sitting at around 85% humidity or so, which means there's a lot of moisture in the air. Part of the reason why my beard is just freezing over. And it's just making everything tough. All right, I'm gonna walk away from this for a second, come back at it. Alright, let's see if a little cardboard won't help her. Yeah, I know I'm cheating. I'm cold and I'm out of practice. And that's why I'm out here doing this. Build these skills back up. Because believe it or not, they are perishable. Just because you learn them once doesn't mean they're good to go all the time. And I'm not afraid to admit that I haven't been on a legitimate camping trip in some time. And it definitely shows, you know, in moments like this where you're trying to get a fire going and you just can't. You know, it's the perfect scenario for practice because everything's against you. I mean, look at that. Perfectly dry cardboard is just struggling right now. That's just how it is in the air right now. And all this kindling is dry. I made sure the kindling was dry. It's the big stuff that's wet. It's not even the cardboard that's on fire anymore. I finally caught a chunk of wood on fire. That's how windy it is. It's just blowing this around. But it's actually helping. It's just fanning the flames for me. It's trying. That's for sure. Well, it's just barely hanging on. I might have to go get some more cardboard or something. Whatever I got left in the Samurai. Man, it's just fighting me today. dose. Fingers crossed. This is it. Was that fourth time's the charm? Still just chugging along. It's trying. You can hear some of the thicker pieces that were a little more exposed or a little icier. You can hear it melting off. That's part of my problem right now. I think I lost her. Man, the struggle bus is live today. Trying to use my body to block any wind coming through. It's coming from my back right now. Some of this stuff is just right off pine boughs and everything. It's, you know, it was super sappy but dry and all nice and hunky-dory, and then you just get one bad batch of icy wet stuff mixed in there with everything else, and it just foobars the whole thing. Come on, baby. Because as soon as it gets going and establishes itself, we're golden. Because then I can start building up a coal bed, start drawing out other wood, and then I actually think what the easiest part will be is just feeding in longer pieces, because I've kind of got this gap in the rocks on either side, so I can just kind of walk longer wet pieces in, let them dry out and burn at the same time, and hopefully that'll work for the time. Because it is just an absolute perfect nonsense on the wood around here. Like if you had a chainsaw, you'd be set. But I don't roll with a chainsaw. I don't even own a chainsaw right now. So just my smallish axe. I think it's a 2.5 or 3 pound head on a 18 or a 20-inch handle. Oh no, it's probably a 20 to 24-inch handle. I think about it. I think we might have done it. And there she goes. Oh, beauty. Whew. That was a challenge. Get some of this stuff on there. So, something new that I'm going to start is, by the time this video comes out, I'll have it set up, but I'm going to make a Patreon for this channel. So if you like this channel, please go check that out. I'll put the link in the description. And it'll help keep the channel ad-free, and you know, help with new camera gear and everything. You know, I really want to keep, you know, bringing out new content for you guys, and I'd like to upgrade just a little bit. It doesn't need to be anything, you know, ridiculous, but a little more functional for what I'm doing out here. And definitely leave feedback, please. You know, hit the like button, hit, subscribe, please, if you really enjoyed the video, and let me know what you think of my content. Like, I'm always open to new ideas. I'm open to, you know, constructive criticism. Like, just let me know. Tell me something that you might have done different, or you know, a piece of gear that I might think about swapping out for something else. You know, I'm always interested to hear different ideas and, you know, why. So definitely hit me up. My goal for this year is to hit 1,000 subscribers. Before I rebooted the channel, I had only a couple hundred, and it dropped below 100 ages ago. I really want to revitalize it. So 1,000 subscribers, and that's my year goal as of now. If somehow I end up crushing that, phenomenal. I'll change it to something better, something, you know, a little harder, and we'll go from there. But as of now, that's where I'm standing with everything, and would really like to see that happen. I really enjoy giving you guys content, and I really enjoy making it. I kind of feel bad that you can't see my face right now. I'm trying to dodge the smoke. And also my wood pile is over here. But yeah, so hey, let me see if I can't get in here. Hopefully I'll be in frame. Stand back here for fire in between me and you guys. So yeah, so that's the goal for everything. 1,000 likes, 1,000 subscriber goal for this year. Patreon, and then just, you know, hit me up. I'd really be interested in doing meetups in the future with other, you know, outdoorsmen, bushcrafters, campers, off-roaders, campers, bushcrafters. If, you know, you're all wrapped in one like I am. Hit me up on YouTube. I'm usually pretty good about looking at things every day or every other day, so if you don't hear back from me immediately, it's coming, I promise. I'm not that busy, especially not on YouTube. I ain't that big. So I definitely love to, you know, do something with other people. I'm here in the Allegheny Mountains now. For those of you who don't know where that is, maybe I'll put a little snippet up here or something, and or up here, wherever there's room. And that is the kind of elbow of the Appalachians. So I'm in southern New York, part of the southern tier, and we are basically the pointiest westernmost chunk of the Appalachians. So they renamed us to the Allegheny Mountains. So anybody in that region of western New York, northwestern Pennsylvania, northeastern Ohio, or even like southern parts of Canada. I know there's a lot of Canadian YouTubers out there. A lot of you guys are doing great content. So feel free to hit me up. You know, I'd love talking to people. I love meeting new people. It's definitely a good gateway to you know, learn new experiences, especially in this field of hobbying and lifestyling. So yeah, that's the plan. And it's really good to be back. I'm gonna keep putting stuff on the fire here now. It's really good to be back. I'm so glad to be back home. And honestly, I couldn't think of anything better to be doing than these videos right now, because I've got a nice lull in work, and the downtime was honestly starting to get to me. And it's been nice just kind of relaxing, but with how intense our winter has been so far this year, it's definitely nice to finally be able to get out. Like I said, I originally wanted to get out with all the snow, but we actually had kind of a busy event-heavy beginning of the year. A lot of birthdays, a lot of traveling. We do a lot of back and forth, me and my fiance, that is. Excuse me, between here and Ohio, because we both have family in Ohio. So it's a lot of back and forth, it's a lot of ups and downs, and a lot of driving time. So it, eventually I'll be passing through, Erie and near Columbus and Mansfield and all that. So if you're in any of those areas, just hit me up, let me know. Or if you're, in the Buffalo, Rochester region of New York, out towards Elmira or anything like that. I know there's a couple of other people here in New York who are pretty big. I'll be damned if I could remember any names. Of course, I'm not that good. But yeah, it's just super nice to be able to, go out into the woods anytime you want again. Definitely missed it. Well, I had to finally add another layer because it's really cold. It may not look it, but it's still only hanging on to about, I don't know, maybe 15 raw temperature. And with the wind chill, I mean, it's feeling closer to 0. And the fire, although going, is still struggling. I've been at this for, gosh, probably the better part of 40 minutes now. I mean, it does not want to go. None of the wood wants to go. It's smoking like crazy too. Well, on and off. And I'm not getting a good bed of coals. It's just that the wood wasn't the right type of wood for it for the most part. I needed more hardwoods and I didn't have enough hardwood. And it's struggling. So we'll see. If I can't get the fire going, then I might have to contemplate calling it off, because without the fire I can't cook my food. I was relying on the fire for my meals, and general warmth through the evening until I was ready to climb into my hammock. But we'll see. Still waiting. It's a waiting game. I'll check back in with you in a little bit. Okay, so it's really good to take a load off. It is 1:45, so I've invested what is that, 7 hours into this now. I have been dealing with this fire for about an hour and a half on its own. It is just struggling every inch of the way. Like I said before, it's just, I can't get good enough wood, mixed with how icy everything is and how saturated everything is and the humidity for the day. It's just really, really struggling. Like, even if I had brought my own wood, just dry wood from the house, it would probably still be struggling pretty good. I haven't given up yet. I'm waiting to see if I can't build up the coal base to a good enough point to where it'll start drying stuff out, and just catch stuff regardless. So we'll see. Upcoming things. So I'm going to do a gear update video here very, very soon. I'm going to try and do, for right now, a video every week or every other week, depending on how much steam the channel picks up. That could increase, which I hope it does. I do really hope it takes off again, and even better than last time. That's my goal. So EDC updates were something that I used to do. I
I will definitely be doing those, but my EDC does not change very much. So I may only do those maybe like once a month or once every 2 or 3 months, just a couple times a year. Because really, like, I've had the same EDC stuff right now for probably the better part of a year. And it's just because I'm content with it. It's not that I'm afraid of trying new things or anything like that, too. It's also cost. Cost always comes into play. But, it's one of those things where you have to kind of pick and choose, and I had other expenses that, I wanted to dabble in. Stuff for work and, stuff for the car and, with the move, I just bought a house, so, that was a huge investment. Excuse me. So, yeah, so that's a lot of what you can expect, soon. Man, I'll tell you what, I can't win with this fire, and I can't win with these batteries. That's the second time that camera's died on me today with brand new batteries in it after, 2 takes, and each take is 10 minutes. It's just ludicrous on how quickly that thing dies. Which, sorry guys, I'm gonna clean a little gook off there. Anyways, like I was saying before, I'm not sure how I'm gonna do the gear update videos, because I work off of a tiered system, so tier 1, tier 2, tier 3. Tier 1 obviously being EDC, so that's kind of its own thing. Tier 2, I have a harness and utility belt system, which I can use by itself or in tandem with my tier 3, which is my pack. So, and then I guess you can call tier 4 the car. So it's a breakdown of, I'm not sure if I want to do all complete separate videos, which is probably where it'll end up going, or one collective video for like my tier 2, tier 3, tier 1s, 2 and 3 ones. Alright. One, did it again, damn. 1, 2, and 3. Do like the car separate and do EDC separate, maybe. I don't know, guys. I don't know. We'll figure it out. So, like I said, depending on this fire, which, hang on, let me see if I can't flop you around. If I can. I don't know if I can while I'm recording. I don't think I can. So, hopefully you can see that. It's kind of going. It's still fighting. It's really fighting. It's just a struggle. If for whatever reason I can't get the fire going, I'm definitely going to climb into the hammock for a little while, just to test it out, because that was part of the whole reason for bringing it this trip, was seeing how comfortable it was, seeing how warm it was. I might just chill in there for an hour or two if for whatever reason the fire doesn't hang, and then just call it a day. Try again in a week or two. If I do have to call it, this video is still definitely coming out. I won't hide it. I don't care. I'll man up and take a failure on this one. It's a learning experience. They always are. And, you just have to kind of take that in stride. So, definitely wish that I had either a chainsaw or even another person here, just to, tag out with the, chopping and the sawing, or a bigger saw and a bigger axe. I mean, like, you'll see what I'm talking about when the gear video comes out, but my saw is just a cheap little, $3-4 thing from Tractor Supply. My axe is fine. It's a good axe, but it's small. It's not a felling axe. It's a boy's axe. It's a camp axe. So, we'll see. I'm just waiting to see if I can't get these coals. If I do, I have a bacon, baked potato, and Babel cheese dinner waiting to be made. I also brought rice for tomorrow, some jerky for tomorrow, coffee and hot chocolate. Let's see, what else? Typical snacks, some Cliff bars, some protein bars. I always travel a little food heavy, just because I can kill it. Depending on what I'm doing, I need the calorie intake. And, especially if, you're out with friends or something and you decide, oh, hey, let's, stay an extra day, or let's go do this instead. It's, more strenuous, whatever, I'm covered, Or if somebody else comes and they don't have anything, or they didn't have enough, I've got them covered. So, the gear update video will be fun. I've got a lot of new stuff, a lot of the same old stuff. So, if you followed me back in the day, then you'll probably see a couple of repeats, but definitely a lot of new stuff that I've been testing out and working on finessing into the gear system. So yeah, you can see how cold it is. Beard and mustache are freezing. It's not supposed to look like that. There we go. A little more civil. So, we wait. What's up, guys? So, I'm in my hammock, as you can see. Sorry, I'm putting my glove on because it's super freaking cold. So, hammock actually feels pretty good. I would definitely adjust it, so I'm a little more level. I'm definitely doing the swoop right now, but I think just tacking the carabiners up, one notch would probably do the trick. I'm actually super warm in here. I think the tarp helps with that, If I lowered it probably a good 2 feet, it would be way better. But then you kind of risk the condensation buildup and everything, from breathing. But yeah, it feels good. The inflatable sleeping pad feels good. The sleeping pad, by the way, is just, lung powered. There's no pump or foot pump or anything for it. So it's, weather like this can wind you. So it's nice to just kind of kick back and relax for a little bit right now. The fire is not doing great. It is now about 10 after 1, and it's just smoke. Like, I cannot keep it lit. I've done everything. I've scoured for, more birch bark, more hardwoods. Like, I walked probably a good, 400 to 500 yard radius around my campsite and could not find anything that I could get with an axe or a saw, or anything that I could get with the axe or the saw that was, worthwhile. Because so much is just punky, so much is just frozen. That's the biggest problem right now, is that with all the rain that we had, everything got saturated and then froze. Like, just since I've been here, there's probably been, I don't know, 6 or 7 trees just explode off in the distance. Like, it sounds like somebody hit them with a bat, but it's just the water and everything expanding inside of the trees and just... So, I'm definitely warming up. My hands are freezing right now, though, because they're, you know, out above the sleeping bag, but my back doesn't feel cold. I haven't been in here super long, so, you know, we'll see, but you know, I think the wool blanket mixed with the sleeping pad definitely insulate pretty well. And then sleeping bag with the other wool cloak on top of everything definitely works pretty good. Like, my body is warm, it's just my hands are freezing right now. So, if the fire does just peter out, then we'll call it. I'm kind of just waiting for it. But if that does happen, I'll definitely still upload the video. It'll be a good... No, it's not a good first video back, but hopefully you guys will enjoy it and, you know, give me some responses and feedback and, you know, kind of help lead where this channel wants to go. Like, I have a bunch of ideas, but, you know, I want to do a lot of what the viewers want to see too, so I'm always open for ideas. So, I'll check back in if the fire goes out or if anything fun happens. Otherwise, I'm just enjoying my hammock view. Shitty fire. It's trying. It is trying. I mean, it's just got everything working against it. If I ever come back to this spot during cold months like it is now, then at least I know I'm going to need to bring, you know, a decent surplus of dry wood just to, you know, establish a fire. And then, oh, there we go, that's better. Just to establish a fire, and then, potentially bring a chainsaw or bigger axe or bigger saw or friend, something. Like, it's just, you know, it's one of those things where I've done all I can, and you know, it sucks, but you learn from it. You know, like, I'd only been to this area once, and when I scouted it out, it looked alright, but there's definitely a lot of winter damage. And there's definitely a lot of, I wouldn't even call it logging, there's just a lot of random trees down in big patches, and it doesn't look like, you know, fire blocks or anything like that, so I don't know what the plan was, so, I don't know. But this year is definitely a hunt for more locations and, you know, different spots, better spots. I've got a couple that I already have for spring and summertime, because it's, you know, like right next to a river, and, you know, it'll be a little more enjoyable. And like I mentioned earlier, that was one big problem with this location, was that there was not a good water source. Like, there's a pond, but it's a scum pond, so it's super blech. It's, you know, trying to get any type of initial scoop of debris-free water is impossible. And I've got a filter. I can filter, you know, charcoal, sand, cloth, you know, that whole shebang, and then boil it, but it's... in this region, there's so many better places, so I'd rather just go to a better place. as bad as that sounds. Alright, I'm just going to hang out here for a little bit. I'll check in a little bit, see how you're doing. Hey guys, so I pulled a major mulligan and somehow either deleted or my battery died when I was trying to record the ending to the video. So I'm giving you this ending. I did tap out. I spent probably a good 2.5 hours trying to keep that fire going to build up a coal bed, and it just was not working. I could not get it going. I couldn't find any decent wood. Really, it was just every factor that could go wrong for having a fire went wrong for having a fire. So I ended up hanging out until, I don't know, like 5:30, just before it got dark, struck camp, and then drove home. So ultimately it's a bummer, but you have to learn, and it's a lot of hit and miss practice still, so it'll be a nice challenge to try and do that again in the future. Hopefully you're not picking up too much traffic noise. So we actually just got a ton of snow. It's been really on and off with the weather the last few days, so like we just got probably about 4 or 5 inches today, and it's already starting to melt off. We had 60 degrees like 2 days after I finished that camping trip. I'm recording this about that was Saturday. It's Thursday now, so a few days after. More videos are coming. I'm gonna try and get my gear video recorded and up. I'm gonna try and see if I can't get these things released like every Friday or every Saturday or something like that, and just try and build a continuous schedule, or every other Friday, every other Saturday, I don't know. But yeah, so if you like the video, please hit the like and subscribe button. Like I said originally, my goal for this year is to hit 1,000 subscribers, and I don't have any like goals for the videos, but the more you like them, the better my channel will do. So like, subscribe, and please check out my Patreon down below. It's not obligatory, but anything that you guys can give will absolutely 100% help. Everything goes 100% to this channel. I will put a link to the Patreon in the description, and maybe I'll try and link it somewhere in the video as well. So thanks for tuning in, guys. I'll see you next time. Bear Evans, out.